Hey there YouTube, this is SGM4306, and the last time I did a video like this while I was on break of, showing off the games in my collection and whatnot, I got a lot of positive feedback on that. So I thought I would, when I got back to my apartment where I am right now, I thought I'd show you guys the portable systems that I took with me and I keep at my apartment because I actually do use these from time to time. So these are pretty much all the systems that weren't at my house. So, I guess we'll start off with systems and then finally games. So I have these two Game Boys that I have here, the Game Boy Advance SP, a front-lit one and a backlit one. And I'll be shortly putting up a video on me cleaning it and showing you guys kind of the refurbishing or restoration. So you guys have that to look forward to. So I'll set those aside. And now we have our Nintendo systems here. So I have I believe I've done a video on this, replacing the damaged bottom scratched touchscreen. So this is a 25th anniversary Super Mario Brothers DSi XL, and right now, yeah, there's still some paint. It looks like nail polish actually. I need to get a stronger solvent to remove that, but it's perfectly playable. It works. This is a really nice system in terms of how big the screens are, bright, crisp. I really like this system a lot, actually. Yeah, you can see it has Castlevania in there, of course. So that is a DSi XL. Now I have a smaller DS. This is a DS Lite that I got. This one I actually bought, I believe, new. That was quite a number of years ago, actually. So I got this, I think, when there was a sale. There's a price reduction on the DS Lite series, and I was at Target and I saw that, and so I bought one. So this one is I forget the exact name of it, but it's kind of like the nice glossy metallic blue, and has a matte black finish, which I really like over the glossy black finishes. So this is a very small system, actually. Now that I'm looking at it, it's tiny. What's great about these older systems are I haven't charged this battery in something like almost 2 years, and it still starts. That's ridiculous. That would never happen on a modern system. So this one, I have a R4 in here, actually, just so that I don't have to carry around all my games. So yeah, that's my DS Lite. Got that many years ago. And I had a original Cosmic Black 3DS. I sold that to a friend, and that actually paid for this unit. So essentially, I exchanged a original Black DS for this 3DS XL. Sorry about that. Wow, that's a tongue twister. There's so many. That's the thing about Nintendo systems. There's like first the DS, and DSi, and then DSi XL, and then 3DS, and then 3DS XL, and the naming scheme's so similar that it kind of gets difficult to keep track of everything. Anyway, this is my DS system here, and yeah, everything works apart from the camera. I think there's some damage to the cable. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, yeah, just a very slow memory card in here, so it takes a while to boot up. Anyway, I got Link Between Worlds, Legend of Zelda, which is an awesome game in here. And yeah, so everything works. I recently replaced the microphone because I actually noticed it wasn't working, oddly enough. That's an easy enough thing to do, though. So yeah, I got this in blue, which is really nice looking. And so for my Nintendo systems, I'll set these aside now. Now for my Sony systems, I have that silver PSP, which I've shown you guys in my last video. I have that off to the side. These are the systems I didn't get to show you. I got this for really cheap, something like 25 or 30 bucks, because it was around the time when there was speculation that Sony was killing off the Vita. So the sellers on eBay were listing these really cheap. So this is a Vita TV, which is essentially the same thing as a PS Vita, but HDMI out, and you connect it to the TV as a set-top box. And it uses the same memory cards. It has a USB port. It unfortunately can't do thumb drives or anything for memory expansion. You can only do that via the proprietary memory. We'll get onto that another day, how much I hate Sony for doing that to us. Anyway, it has Ethernet and Wi-Fi, 5 volts in, so this is actually exactly a tiny Vita, and it uses the same game cards too. It just goes in the side here, and I have East in here at the moment. Yeah, so pretty neat. You can hook this up wirelessly to a DualShock 3 or PS3 controller, and it works perfectly. I've used it that way before, and it's a neat idea, especially if you can get this for cheap. Definitely worth it, I would say. And that brings me to my very dusty, oh my goodness. This was sitting on my shelf for quite a while. I haven't used it in a while, unfortunately. This is my PS Vita, and I believe it still has a charge. This is the original launch model, the Wi-Fi only model. There's also a 3G model, and this is the OLED screen one, so the screen looks absolutely astonishing. So yeah, and there you go. So I have Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward in there right now, and I'm currently playing that. That's an awesome game. I love it. So yeah, other than being a bit dusty, I got the second hand as well. I forget. I think the seller sold it because it had a botched firmware update or something like that, and all you have to do is when you reboot, you can press and hold this. If you press and hold it long enough when you restart it, I believe it puts you into kind of like a bootloader mode, and if you have a firmware update, you can actually, you know, rewrite the firmware if it's botched. So a lot of newer Sony systems do this. I know the PS3 got a firmware update that does the same thing, so if you accidentally mess up a firmware update, you can actually recover the system. So yeah, so I got this for cheaper. Can't remember the exact price, but anyway, this is a very nice unit. Too bad that a lot of people hate the Vita for some odd reason. Anyway, and here I also have a dusty. I really gotta dust these things off. It's a PSP Go, which is a really cool system. This one is hacked. It's soft modded, so every time you reboot, you know, if the battery dies or you shut off completely, you have to re-enable the hack. Let's see, I have 16 gig card in here. This has 16 gigs built in, and let's turn that down. I have pretty much all the games that I own back home that I showed you guys in the last video. I have it ripped onto the different memory cards here, so, and a couple of emulators too. So yeah, this is a really neat system. I like the idea. It kind of stinks though that I own like something like 30 or 35 PSP games on the discs, and Sony kind of essentially, you know, just flipped me off by, you know, releasing the system that I would have to rebuy every single game if I want to actually play it legitimately on here, which is the reason why I don't feel so bad that I hacked this, because I already bought all the games. I already have them. I paid for them. I don't see a reason why I can't play it on a smaller, more convenient system. So yeah, overall pretty neato. I love how small this system is. There you go. Yeah, you can do calendar mode and whatnot. So yeah, you can see I have a hack enabled that shows me the exact percentage of battery life and the rough run time as well as the actual time there. So let's shut that off. Okay, so those are those systems. Let me put them to the side. And finally we get to my games. So these are all my portable games, with the exception of, I think I left the Rugrats the movie Game Boy Color game at home. Other than that though, these are all my games. I 3D printed these nice stands. I'm gonna have to link whoever, I found this online, just they uploaded some STL files and I downloaded them to print. And so I have kind of two sets, one for Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games, and two for Game Boy Advance games. So we'll go through. I have Kirby's Dream Land 2, which is awesome. I have Pokemon Blue in pretty rough condition, but works. That's all I care about. I have two copies of this, actually. I showed you the rough one back home. This is the one that came in the original box, and it's in pretty good condition other than some slight discoloration at the bottom. But I can live with that, and this is the DX version, so it works on the original Game Boy, and as well as Game Boy Color has some extra colors and extra dungeon, I believe. And I have Wario Land 3 for the Game Boy Color, which is really messed up, but still works perfectly. I have Tetris. If you're gonna own a Game Boy, you have... Tetris is one of the games. Tetris and Super Mario Land are basically the games that you need to get. I have Game & Watch Gallery, which is a very good game. I love it. And Mrs. Pac-Man, which is also a good game. And as I said, Super Mario Land, which is awesome. I do not have Super Mario Land 2. I probably will eventually pick one up, though. They're not that expensive. And I have, I believe, 2 copies of Pokemon Gold for some reason. I need to replace the battery in the other copy. This one I replaced the save battery, so it works for now, for another 10 years or so. So yeah, good game also. Interestingly enough, I never knew. I thought this was only Game Boy Color, but no, this works on the original Game Boy as well, just in black and white, obviously. And Pokemon trading card game. You can see someone scribbled in marker or something on the front here. No label. This had a really weird problem. When I first got it, there was a save battery, and I thought the save battery was dead because when you played a game and saved it, it wouldn't actually save. When you turned it on the next time, it would start a new game. And I measured the battery, and it said like 3 point something volts, so the battery was good. And all of a sudden one day, the only difference was I cleaned the contacts, and it just started working. It started saving, so who knows. So yeah, put those back in. Kind of ham-fistedly. So yeah, I'm definitely looking to get into collecting more original Game Boy and Game Boy Color games because I really like the platform, as you can tell by all the Game Boy Pockets and Game Boy Lights I have. And so here we have my Game Boy Advance games. So as I said, I have every single Castlevania for the system. Well, there's only 3. I have Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, and Aria of Sorrow. Aria of Sorrow is my favorite, by the way. And I have Golden Sun, the first game in the series. I want to get the second one eventually, but you know I haven't even beaten this. I've only gotten about halfway through. So, Sword of Mana, which is an awesome game. I played the mess out of that when I was younger. Tales of Fantasia is another really good game. This is a port of, I believe, the Japanese SNES version. Sort of an update port. Minish Cap, Legend of Zelda, obviously. I have really fond memories playing this game. So, basically the main games that I played when I was younger, Harmony of Dissonance originally, Minish Cap, and Metroid Fusion here. Those were like 3 games I played the most. And then later on, I got the other Castlevania games and played the mess out of those. And actually, interestingly enough, the only game I've ever 100%ed was Aria of Sorrow, and that took me a ridiculous amount of time to get all the souls. But I've 100% this game. I believe I have the save for that 100% on there right now. So yeah, anyway, as I was saying, Metroid Fusion is an awesome game, just very hard, I find. Especially the Nightmare boss is literally a nightmare for me. I have Metroid Zero Mission, which is also an awesome game. And I have Final Fantasy IV. An interesting story about this is I also have a counterfeit cart. I bought from the seller. They didn't have great pictures. It was cheap. I kind of had a feeling that it was a counterfeit. And they sent me a counterfeit, and I disputed it, and I got to keep it for free. So I also have a counterfeit copy of this. Actually, I might do a short video later comparing the two. I'll open them both up and show you this is a legitimate copy. This is a counterfeit copy. It might sort of be interesting. So yeah, those are about half my Game Boy Advance games. I'm a little OCD when I put games out. I usually try to sort them by like data release per series and try to alphabetize them. That's just me though. Anyway, move those aside. So here, I have Fire Emblem, which is one of my favorite games on the system. There's also there's a second Fire Emblem game on the Game Boy Advance, US Game Boy Advance. I forget what it's called, but I will eventually be picking that up. Then I have every Pokemon game for the system. I have multiple copies actually. I have 3 copies of Sapphire somehow. I think what happened was I went to a thrift store one day and they had a box of Game Boy Advance games. And they had every single Game Boy Advance Pokemon game in there, and a few I think they had the Pokemon Gold and they had all of them for I think like $1.50 each. And so as soon as I saw that, I grabbed every Pokemon game from that bin and I rushed to the front and bought it because you're never gonna find that good of a deal like ever again. So unfortunately all the batteries were dead, but I replaced them. That's easy enough to do. So anyway, I have Sapphire, which was the first Game Boy Advance Pokemon game I ever played, which, you know, is very fond to me. I have Ruby, I have Emerald. I've checked all these out. These are all legitimate copies. Easy way you can tell is there's a stamped set of numbers if you look on an oblique angle on every legitimate copy of Game Boy Advance game, so you can easily tell that way. Actually, looking at this, the label's kind of crooked. That's a little sloppy. But yeah, I'm absolutely sure this is legitimate, though. You can even see the silkscreen Nintendo, the code, and everything. So yeah, that's just a little odd that that's slightly crooked. That kind of bothers me. Anyway, so there's that. There's Fire Red, Leaf Green, which are remakes of the original Pokemon games, and Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, which is an awesome game. This was my very first game I ever bought. When I first bought the system, I was pretty much broke, and so I went to GameStop, and they had like used games on the wall, and I picked the cheapest game, and that was Iridium 3D. And I got so darn close to beating this game. I got to like the last level, and from what I remember, it's like impossible. So I can make it to about, you know, the final boss, and then that's it. So I was never able to beat this. And the game that I just got for free with the Game Boy that I just purchased, that was sold as is, as broken essentially, was Lego Star Wars 2. And I hadn't noticed, but I actually have this exact game for the PSP as well. I'd forgotten that I had it, so it's pretty neat comparing the two. Even though they're the same game, there's some differences obviously because of graphical capabilities and whatnot. But yeah, interesting. And here I have a Super Card, of which I conveniently removed the label with Boba Fett on it. Yeah, this is my flash card that I got many years ago, so I could play games that I didn't have money to play, unfortunately, of which now I've actually bought most of them that I wanted. But yeah, this just takes mini SD cards. I have an adapter so I can put micro SD cards in, 2 gigs or less, and it works. It's not great. You have to patch all the files, and it can be a pain, and there's some weird quirks about it, but I definitely got my use out of this. There's actually a save battery in there, interestingly enough, but does not do RTC, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, so other games that I have been looking for this system, as I put these away, I also want to get the Breath of Fire games. I already have them for the SNES, but I kind of just want to complete the collection and get those, as well as I don't have any of the Mario remakes, the graphical upgrade remakes that they released on the Game Boy Advance. What they call it, Super Mario Advance. I believe there are 4 of them, something like that. I will eventually pick those up. Those aren't that expensive, actually. So yeah, those are games that I'd like to get. And these conveniently stack. I really like that. So yeah. Albeit not too well, because while printing these, before I printed them, I didn't really calibrate my 3D printer yet. So they're kind of a bit lopsided, you can see. But anyway, it works, it holds my games, and it's really cool. It's satisfying to see a stack of, like, I don't know how many games. I think there are 10 each, so about 30 games right here. And this is pretty much my entire Game Boy and Game Boy Advance collection. So yeah, thank you guys for everything, encouragement, comments, and it's really neat. I've been checking my eBay affiliate program, and it seems that a lot of you are are buying stuff using the links, which makes me really happy, because about every month I get a little bit of money in my PayPal account that I can use to spend on, if I find a cheap game, I can buy it, or if I find like a broken Game Boy for cheap, I'll pick that up. So I can do that at no cost basically now, which is awesome. Up until this year, I'd always just spent my own money, my hard-earned saved money on things that I wanted to fix. But now I'm actually able to do this, for free basically, and I'm able to give you guys content without, killing my bank account. So I want to thank you guys, take the moment to really thank you guys. This is really awesome. I'm glad that you guys all share my love of gaming and whatnot. And so, yeah, this was about 20 minutes of me blabbering, but anyway, just a trip down memory lane, I guess, for me, and you know, I'm sure many of you share similar experiences. So yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.